Many JRPGs can be evenly split into three parts: combat, exploration, and story. The very best find ways to make all three memorable. Yet it's hard not to be especially scrutinizing of a JRPG's battle system, since fighting is almost always what you do most. As such, we appreciate the games that aren't afraid to strike out, eschewing the familiar and pushing the boundaries of what the genre is capable of. After thousands of hours of hunting monsters and casting spells, our very own Ben Moore has compiled a list of battle systems that left a lasting impression. To be considered for the list, a JRPG must have a clear transition from exploration to battle. These transitions often involve moving to a combat screen, one that's separate from everything else. Games like Dark Souls and Dragon's Dogma aren't eligible since that transition doesn't exist. Strategy games like Fire Emblem and Disgaea also don't count because we consider them a different breed. Combat isn't just a system in those games, it's almost the entire experience. So many JRPGs devolve into a series of rotations where your characters do almost the exact same things in every fight. In Grandia, every action matters and no attack comes without consequence. You can choose to interrupt an enemy action by using a critical strike, or go for more damage with a combo attack. Having to constantly trade off between offense and defense promises that you're only minimizing losses instead of simply brute forcing your way through fights. Though the entire series is worth noting, we're giving the edge to Grandia 3 since it's the fullest realization of the battle system, with aerial attacks and a de-emphasis on grinding. Shin Megami Tensei has always had an obsession with the occult, and its fascination with demons carries directly over into combat. Fusion is the order of the day, and players must take the demons they acquire throughout the game and combine them into more powerful versions if they want to progress. It isn't the only reason the series takes up a spot, though. Introduced in Shin Megami Tensei 3, the press turn system takes traditional turn-based combat and adds a devious layer. If a player manages to exploit an enemy's weakness, they gain an additional turn while also taking away the enemy's. However, the tables can be turned if your party's vulnerabilities are uncovered. Rarely will you feel so helpless in a JRPG when an enemy is absolutely decimating your crew and there's nothing you can do about it. More than most, the press turn system necessitates constant reorganization, ensuring fights remain varied until the end. Shin Megami Tensei 4 pushed things even further with smirks, which reward those able to strike weaknesses multiple times. Ever since its debut in 1995, the combat in the Tale series has made other JRPGs look outdated by comparison. While there have been many iterations, we've sided with Grace's F as the best the series has to offer, thanks to things like being able to quick-step around an opponent. With enough skill, it's possible to avoid damage entirely. Because enemies, particularly bosses, attack in distinct ways, fights require much more than using your best attacks and occasionally healing. Perhaps the system's best feature is the fact that moves are limited. Everything obeys the CC counter, with actions requiring a certain amount of CC. Once that's used up, you have to wait until the gauge refills to continue attacking, dodging, or guarding. The counter effectively punishes mashing, forcing you to think about how and when you'll attack. Shadow Heart's Covenant is the best JRPG that no one talks about. So many JRPGs submit to tire cliches, but Covenant stood out by implementing Lovecraftian horror and toying with history. Its quirky characters only made things better, like Joaquin Valentine, a vampire with a penchant for wrestling. Of course, Covenant wouldn't be on here if it wasn't for its battle system, which ranks among the best of any RPG. Everything revolves around the Judgment Ring, a funny name for a simple concept. In order to successfully attack, players have to time button presses in order to hit colored areas of their respective rings. Similar timing mechanisms have been used in other RPGs, but none go as deep as Covenant, which allows for things like combos. A basic combo lets one character knock an enemy into the air, only to have a second character perform a follow-up attack while the enemy floats helplessly. The trick is, if you mess up the timing with any character, the combo is broken, and all remaining characters lose their actions until the next turn. The game implements a level of risk that makes even the most basic attacks rewarding. Tri-Ace is known for making JRPGs with great battle systems, such as Valkyrie Profile and Resonance of Fate. The developer almost refuses to follow convention, pushing toward reinvention with nearly every game. Arguably, their best effort came with Star Ocean: The Last Hope. While it certainly doesn't have much going on for it outside of combat, the fights are so good that it almost makes up for other sins, including the horrendously grating characters.
Fairy healing! Ah!
Unlike the Tale series, where you're locked to an axis by default, The Last Hope gives you full range of movement. Every character you control feels completely different and offers a unique style of play. Edge can rush down enemies with his close range attacks, while Raimi needs to keep her distance to effectively utilize her bow. While its different characters go a long way in keeping Last Hope varied, its trump card comes in the form of blindsides. Not unlike Bayonetta's Witch Time, you can dart behind an enemy earning a free attack if you dodge at just the right moment. You'll actually feel yourself getting better in Last Hope, like you're earning your way through fights instead of simply pumping up numbers. After playing a game with so much going on, it's tough going back to other, tamer RPGs.